There are 4 mistakes that almost everyone makes when heating with a wood-burning stove. In this video, I'll explain whether you make these mistakes too and why you should absolutely avoid them in the future. Because if you have a fireplace like this or a freestanding stove, it's especially important that you pay attention to these steps. The first, of course, is the wood. It should always be untreated wood. So there shouldn't be any residues of, for example, paint or varnish on it. It's also extremely important that the wood is dry enough. You can use a device like this to measure it. I've linked it for you this time in the video description below. You can get it for just a few euros. You can simply stick these 2 prongs into the wood and you can immediately see how much residual moisture is inside. For firewood, it should be below 20%. Of course, you don't have to measure every single piece of wood with it. 1 piece from the same stack is definitely enough. Now, it's also extremely important how exactly you place the wood in your wood stove, because you should definitely not put in too much. Ideally, you start by placing 2 nice big pieces at the bottom. Then you take 2 more pieces which you lay on top, crosswise. These should ideally be a bit smaller. Now you can add a few more pieces on top, which should be even smaller again. But of course, this always depends on the size of your stove. Now I'm using much thinner wood here, which is perfectly suited as kindling, also known as tinder. Because this should actually be placed right at the top. I'll explain exactly why in just a moment. Another common mistake people make is taking old newspaper, crumpling it up and adding it to help light the fire. But you should absolutely never, under any circumstances, do that. Because of the printer ink, it is definitely not suitable to be burned in here. But probably the single biggest mistake is still made when lighting the fire, because many people are still doing it completely wrong to this very day. Instead of using one of those chemical fire lighters, which also have a very strong and unpleasant odor, I always use this natural wood wool, which is simply a byproduct from the wood industry soaked in beeswax. They don't smell at all, and the advantage is that they burn for a significantly longer period. And you should absolutely not put these at the very bottom, because that's still a mistake many people make. A fire burns from top to bottom. That means you should carefully place the firelighter on top and maybe gently lay a few small kindling sticks over it or tuck them in between. Before you light it, you should definitely open the air supply on your stove door completely so that enough oxygen can get into the combustion chamber. Now simply light the firelighter and then close the door, because by lighting from the top you get the maximum energy and heat. There is also much less soot formation, which means your glass stays clean much longer. This way, you can clearly see here how we have hardly any smoke formation. That means the fire burns nicely from top to bottom, and it doesn't take long before the entire stack of wood is in flames and we have a really good heat output. It's also important to know exactly when to add more wood, because you should never do that while the flames are still burning strongly. Only when there's just a small bed of embers left, and at most very small flames, should you open the door. But first, do it very carefully and not too abruptly so that not too much smoke gets into the room. Now open the door and carefully place the wood gently into your firebox, then close it again. Now is also the right moment to close the air supply a little further. However, it should never be closed completely. If you follow all these tips, you'll have the perfect fire, maximum heat and minimal soot buildup, so the glass won't end up completely covered in soot. You'll find the link to the firelighters I used here down in the video description, as well as in the pinned comment. And if you want to know how to get your stove glass completely clean again, even if it's really heavily sooted, then check out the video you now see on the screen. Just click on it directly.